So the server got griefed. We let someone join our little family here, our HearthSide family, and they came on to the server. And I don't know how immediately, but pretty quickly after coming onto the server, got their hands on some TNT and lava buckets and just went and started blowing holes in everyone's builds, blowing holes and setting things on fire. Thankfully, fire tick is off, and so the lava damage isn't going to be as bad as it could have been, but just started griefing spawn and just causing as much havoc as they could before they got kicked and then subsequently banned from the HearthSide server. And so, yeah, if you can look out there, you'll see that all of my chests are gone. There is no way really to easily recover them and recover the contents from them. There is a way of recovering it, but remember, we are on a snapshot server, so we're not running paper or spigot or anything like that because it simply hasn't been made. We're not on an actual 1.16 release, we're on a 1.16 snapshot. That means that there are some things that we simply don't have access to, and Core Protect is one of those things that we simply don't have access to. It hasn't been made for 1.16 because the game isn't officially out for this version yet. So what we can do, though, if we wanted to, is we could actually take the region data file, which you can find in the world folder of your Minecraft world, and we could grab that region data file and we could replace it, or replace the one that's been damaged, primarily our spawn area, and we could replace it with one from one of our automatic backups, which the world is set to back up every 6 hours right now, I think. And we could do that. We could grab those. I mean, look, the person literally came in and just wrecked some of my chests for some reason, and the only chests that actually I think even had anything in it were the ones that were sitting right here. The rest of them I hadn't even gotten to put stuff in the chest yet, and they decided to, do what griefers do. Birch door. I'm staff on the server. I have the capability of coming in and patching everything, and I have the advantage that I record everything just about, and so I can come in and I can review my videos and I can see, I could see exactly how many diamonds and gold ingots and iron and everything that I had, how much food, what was in all of my chests, because I'm frequently forgetting, and so I'm frequently clicking on everything. I can come down here to my mineshaft and see if he got into any of this stuff, which he didn't. Doesn't look like anything down here was affected. It's the advantage of recording everything and making these YouTube videos. But not everyone has that. Not everyone has that capability. By looking through some of my footage, I could potentially see exactly how some of the builds at spawn that got griefed were built and repair them. And it's just a shame. We were hoping, it would be every time we invite someone to come and play with us, we're hoping that they are going to be a good member of the community, and we trust them to be a good member of the community. And instead, we had villagers who were murdered. We had houses that had random blocks broken out of them, TNT set off in different areas, just different people's builds that were messed with. Our community farm building, roof torn apart. Part of this building, as you can see, has been blown up and damaged. And there's no telling what else has been messed with. Looks like an AFK fishing area that was built early on has been blown up. And it's just unfortunate and uncalled for. I don't really have much else to say about it than that. I know some people think that they're being funny, and some people say that it's just for the lulz and that it's just a video game and people shouldn't get upset, but it is upsetting. It is upsetting to come onto the server and to be gone for a couple of days and to then come back on. I was gone for 2 days for a work-related thing, and to come back on this evening and find that stuff that I'd been working on has been messed with, and stuff has been that other people have been working on has been messed with and blown up, and that's just not a pleasant experience to come back to at all. It's extremely upsetting and extremely unfair. And I think I may have mentioned this already. I've tried to figure out the best way of handling and recording this video, but we're on a 1.16 snapshot. That means that we don't have Core Protect. We don't have access to some of the tools that you typically see different servers operating with in order to prevent things like this from happening, or to be able to easily undo things like this that have happened. I've lost all of my resources that I had gathered. Thankfully, all of the soil that I had gathered was in that chest in my little storage area over here. Fantastic. Thankfully, I still have Fortune Finder and my other equipment. It's just one of those things. For people who are watching this and operating their own server and wondering what sort of things they can do to try and prevent people from griefing, I do have a couple of suggestions. First and foremost, to mitigate the risks of griefing, number one, have a staff that you can depend on. The members of the staff here, I am not the server owner, just reminding you, but the members of the staff here are all pretty knowledgeable and all pretty diligent, and we're a team. We can try and take care of these issues really quickly. And one of the big things that prevented some of the other builds on the server from getting destroyed was how quickly we were able to respond. I think it was actually Mallow who was the one who completed the ban and was able to stop the griefer from doing too much damage. So that's number one. Have a good, reliable staff. Number two, I would say, is know the commands yourself. Know what you can do to try and prevent some things like this from happening. Know really simple things like, the kick command and the ban command, the ban list, which I'm going to blur out, I guess. but just be familiar with different commands in general that you can use to prevent people from doing things like this. A third thing that's going to help you kind of prevent griefing and griefing damage is to not run a snapshot server. Run a server with a stable. I was going to try and say steady and stable at the same time. It didn't really work. Try and run a server with a stable bucket or spigot or paper version out for it, and then immediately utilize Core Protect. Core Protect is probably one of your best friends. It allows you to do all sorts of different things, including protecting certain areas, so it prevents any changes from being made to certain areas. It also allows you to actually roll back areas. You could roll back an entire section of like a radius. So I could set a certain chunk and do all sorts of different damage to that chunk, and then I can roll it back based on minutes, hours. I don't know how far back you're actually able to, or how far back Core Protect logs all of those different things, but it allows you to roll back area in a radius from yourself, or even a radius from a selected coordinate, to roll back everything that's changed in there up to a certain point to a previous state. That means that I could, if we were able to, if we were on a full release version of Minecraft with Core Protect, I could go over to the community barn, which I think is over this way, and yep, right there, and I could just roll back that area that encompasses the barn by hours, however long it was, but basically to a state from before the griefer was there. I could roll back the house and all my chests in that area, and then I would have all of my items back to a state from before it was griefed. And so it's probably the single most valuable tool in your tool belt. So definitely I'd say number 3 is run a stable version of Minecraft where you have the option of running something like Core Protect. The number 4 way that you can deal with griefing on your server if you're running a pure vanilla or a snapshot server is by understanding server backups. Make relatively frequent backups. Our server is set to run backups every 6 hours. That's an arbitrarily chosen number. There's a couple of different reasons that we did choose this number. You don't have to use 6 hours, but we've had a couple issues with the server so far where when it does its nightly reset, it likes to try and restart the entire world. And we're still working through that. We're not sure if that's a Minecraft issue, a server host issue, or server settings issue. So we're still working through that. The problem is that there might be periods of time exceeding 6 hours where there are no staff members with console access able to restore a backup of the world. So if we and the server host we use, by the way, saves 3 backups of the world. So there are always 4 versions of the world, the current actual live version, and then the last 6 hours, 12 hours, and 18 hours ago backups of the world that we can restore from. But if we set the world to, say, every hour back up the world, and that's our server host only does 3 backups, and once that third backup goes, essentially once it backs it up again, that third one, the 18-hour ago one, goes away. So the third oldest one disappears. So say that server restarts at midnight. Say a griefer comes on right at midnight and starts blowing everything up, and there's no one else on the server, and we have it set to back up the world every hour, and the next person logs on at 5 a.m. Well, it's too late to do anything. We'll never be able to roll it back. We just won't be able to. So kind of have a good estimate of server backups, and make sure that you're able to get online enough to be able to roll a backup, or to back up the world, or to restore a backup Doing it too frequently or having the world backed up too frequently will definitely make that harder. So back up the world frequently and know what the time interval of your backups is. The fifth thing that I would say is understand how you can implement those server backups. So in our case, I could roll back the entire world to the most recent backup, which is going to be on a 6-hour time frame. Just because it's 6 hours ago or set every 6 hours doesn't actually mean that that backup was made 6 hours ago. It could be a backup that was only made 1 hour ago. And in that 1 hour time, someone could have come through and griefed the world, or something catastrophic could have happened that we need to roll back and we need to fix. But here's the deal, and this is something I learned about from pruning the end dimension, is that you can only affect certain areas and change certain areas if you want to. So Minecraft divides the world up into what are called region files. A region file is a 512 by 512 block area, or 32 by 32 chunks. A chunk is 16 blocks. So if I were to do, that's advanced tool, that's hitbox, that's spectator mode. I'm struggling. Hold on. This one. There you go. Chunk borders. F3 and G is chunk borders. So you can see that this area that I'm standing in right here, which, I was too far. I am in one chunk. Each one of those blocks that you see over here is 2. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And then you have this blue line, which is showing you a chunk. So you have chunk borders. So you see I go into this next one. Those red lines back there mean that that's the border and the corner boundaries of a separate chunk. So when I back up and go into that chunk, all of a sudden those become blue. And now you see this other red line back here is the next chunk border. And it's going to show you the barrier or bounding box of the chunks immediately adjacent to the one that you're at, or that you're currently located in. So this 16 by 16 area is the chunk. 32 by 32 chunks is a region file. So if I went 32 chunks in this direction, for example, then I'd be at the border of a region. Now, there are certain coordinates for the regions. They are done as a kind of the same way that the coordinates are for Minecraft. It actually tells us which chunk we are in. You can look at it and see as we move across the different chunks. So you see this number right here. We are at 283. Now that's 284. Now that's 285. So that kind of tells you which chunk you're in, and then based on which chunk you are in, or you could also do it based on your X, Y, and Z. You can actually see and use different tools that are online to figure out which region file your particular trunk lives in. And so then what you can do if you're dealing with a griefing issue is you can go, and I could find the region file for our spawn area here, and I could, for example, grab just the region file from the most recent world backup, and I could replace the griefed region file with the live version of the server. I could replace that region file with the backed up version of that. So just because you make a backup doesn't mean that you have to actually install or roll back the entire server to a previous state. If it's for something like griefing and that's the only option you have to restore that particular region file, then that's a valid way of implementing a rollback and dealing with griefing. If you're rolling back your server because of an issue outside of griefing, like you have a catastrophic error or some sort of overloaded chunk issue, you may be able to find that that's still a decent option for rolling back part of the server. But if you've got some other catastrophic bug, I would recommend just running the entire backup rather than trying to do just a particular affected region, because if it's something other than griefing or player created issues or overloaded chunks, then it might be something that's actually affecting the entire Minecraft world, and that's something that is beyond my area of expertise. For now, I just recommend only using these kind of strategies for rolling back griefing issues. It's part of the game. I know people say it's part of the game. There's not a whole lot that you can do about it. You can't always predict human nature. If you could, you'd be probably making a lot more money and doing a lot more things than just playing Minecraft. If you were able to 100% predict whether someone is going to cause problems on your server, you probably have some really good skills. You just have to understand what things that you can do to deal with it. In our situation, we're going to get down to the number one thing that you need to do, and the number one way of dealing with griefing, especially on a small Minecraft server, is know your community as well. We have a player here on the server, not currently logged in, Red Panda or Redstone Panda, who went in, and the amount of damage doesn't look like it's that bad here at spawn. And that's because Redstone Panda, one of our players, went through and fixed a lot of the damage to a lot of the different things around spawn on their own. And that's the sort of thing that you need to understand. Dealing with griefing, a lot of it just comes down to understanding and knowing your community and fostering and having awesome community members like Redstone Panda who are willing to go around and try and help other people not have to deal with coming onto the server and finding their base destroyed. And that's the sort of thing you also want to do. Deal with griefing by encouraging and maintaining a positive and good community. It's just one of those things. It happens. It's not the end of the world. And thankfully, I still have all of the gear that I had on me. I don't know if we'll be able to restore any of my chests. I'm kind of bummed out over a little bit of the diamond lossage, but it's not the be-all, end-all. But that's just my personal attitude on it. I'm sure that for a lot of the other players, we'll probably end up trying our best to restore any items and treasures and things that they may have lost. And yeah, just I would say if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, but this isn't really one of those videos that's super terribly fun and one that you should really do a whole lot of liking on. If you are actually an owner or operator of a Minecraft server and you have been the victim of griefing, I'd love to hear your stories and some of the different ways that you've dealt with them. If you need some help or advice on dealing with griefing or how to implement some of the tools and some of the methods that I talked about in this video on what we can do to try and prevent the griefing from looking as bad or happening as badly as it could have happened on this server, let me know. I'm not sure how much sense or how coherent I'm really being, but I'm trying here. But yeah, at the end of the day, all we want to do is play Minecraft and build cool things and have fun playing the game. If you're one of those people who goes out there and deliberately tries to ruin the fun for other people, so meaning this is a message to you griefers out there, just stop. Just don't. You know, in our case, we're a 21 and up server. We're all adults. We all have lives. We're either all, in college or have full-time jobs. This is what we do for fun. This is what we're doing for fun. This is how we're choosing to spend our time. When I'm not working, I'm typically either making videos or playing Minecraft or some other video game. And I don't try and ruin it for other people. One day someone might come and try and ruin something for you, and that's just, I'm not going to say Hammurabi's laws and an eye for an eye type of thing, or, what goes around comes around, but, you're not going to make any friends playing the game that way. And to me, that's part of what Minecraft is about, are the friendships that I've made. And yeah, you can blow up my house, and you can ruin other people's builds, but the server is stronger than that. We're not going to be continuously negatively affected by that. And you know what? I think I will go ahead and let's just go ahead and do this ban list here. And there are 3 bans. Pripyat was banned by server, banned by an operator. Ad was banned by server Pripyat. And I will blur out your IP because I banned your IP as well. But yeah, if you are running a server and you run across a Pripyat underscore as the user ID, contact me. Send me a message. Let's try and make sure this little griefing little crap doesn't go and ruin anyone else's servers. That's all I've got time for today. I'll see you all on the next much more lighthearted episode of HearthSide. See you later.